Right, let's talk about ships. Big things, aren't they? Traditionally filled with salty sea dogs, probably with parrots on their shoulders shouting land ahoy and other such nautical nonsense. Well, that's all about to change apparently. Some clever types think we can have ships that drive themselves. No captain, no crew, just computers and a whole lot of hope. Imagine that. A giant metal box the size of a small town, plowing through the ocean with absolutely nobody on board. It's the future, they say. The idea of an autonomous ship, a ghost ship if you will, is both fascinating and frankly, a bit terrifying. These aren't little remote-controlled toys for the bath. We're talking about colossal container ships, oil tankers, bulk carriers, the workhorses of global trade. The plan is for these behemoths to navigate the world's oceans, dock in ports, and manage their cargo, all without a single human hand on the tiller. It sounds like something out of a slightly rubbish science fiction film, but it's edging closer to reality. The boffins are beavering away, promising a new era of maritime transport. But let's hoist the mainsail, or rather, boot up the server, and investigate. Now, how on earth do these robo-boats actually work their magic? It's not powered by witchcraft or strong language, though some might suspect the latter. It's all down to something called artificial intelligence, or AI, as the cool kids call it. Think of it as a digital brain, a massively complex one stuffed into the metallic skull of the ship. This AI is supposed to be the captain, the navigator, the engineer, and probably the ship's cook too, though I doubt its digital shepherd's pie would be up to much. It's the central nervous system, making all the big decisions. This isn't just any old computer program that plays a decent game of chess. We're talking about sophisticated machine learning. This means the AI isn't just programmed, it learns. It devours data like a hungry Labrador at a picnic, weather forecasts, sea conditions, charts, information from other ships, the lot. And in theory, it gets progressively smarter and better at its job. So, you've got this magnificent AI brain, all buzzing with data and algorithms. But how does it actually make the ship go where it's supposed to? Navigation, that's the name of the game. For centuries, hardy sailors squinted at the stars, fiddled with sextants, and relied on a healthy dose of luck and a prayer. Now it's all down to complex software, satellite signals, and digital charts. It might lack the romance of the old ways, but it's probably a darn sight more accurate. The AI takes all that lovely data from its myriad sensors, the radar, the LiDAR, the GPS, the weather reports. It then crunches the numbers and plots the most efficient and safest course from port A to port B. It's constantly calculating the optimal speed, taking into account the currents, the wind, and even the depth of the water. It's like having the world's most diligent and frankly most boring navigator on board. And it's not just about drawing a straight line on a map. These autonomous navigation systems are designed to detect and react to obstacles. Collision avoidance is, understandably, a massive part of this. The AI constantly monitors other marine traffic using AIS and its own sensors. It's not enough for these robo-ships to just steer themselves from one side of the world to the other. That's only half the battle. A modern ship is an incredibly complex beast, a floating city almost, with a bewildering array of systems that all need to be kept running smoothly. Think about your car. You've got the engine, the electrics, the brakes, the wipers. Now multiply that complexity by about 1,000, and you're getting close to what's on a big ship. And all of this needs to be managed even without a crew. This is where the automation of onboard operations comes in. The ship's AI isn't just a navigator, it's also the chief engineer, the electrician, and the plumber, all rolled into one. It monitors the performance of the main engines, the generators, the fuel consumption, the ballast systems that keep the ship stable, and 100 other things. It's constantly tweaking and adjusting, trying to keep everything running at peak efficiency. It's the ultimate control freak, but in a good way. Section 5, Stacking Boxes Without Bloke's Cargo gets a high-tech makeover. Let's not forget the primary purpose of most of these enormous ships, to carry stuff, mountains of stuff, usually packed neatly into those ubiquitous metal boxes called containers. Managing this cargo, loading it, stowing it securely, keeping track of it, and then unloading it, is a huge and complex operation. Traditionally, it's involved a lot of planning, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of burly blokes in hard hats. But you guessed it, automation is muscling in here too. The robots are eyeing up the cargo holds. On a fully autonomous ship, cargo management can be seamlessly integrated into the vessel's AI brain. The system would know exactly what cargo is on board, where each container is located, what it contains, and how much it weighs. It could even monitor the condition of sensitive cargo in real time. This automation can extend to the ports as well. Picture this. The autonomous ship glides silently into its berth. Then a ballet of automated AI-guided cranes and vehicles swings into action. Section 6. Why bother, you ask? The perks of a robot armada on the waves. So, we're pouring billions into developing these incredibly complicated self-driving sea monsters. But why go to all this trouble? What's the actual point of it all? Well, if you ask the people in sharp suits who sign the checks, they'll tell you it's all about the glorious trio of efficiency, safety, and cost savings. And for once, they might actually have a point. These robo-ships are being designed from the keel up to be ruthlessly effective at what they do. Like a Terminator, but for delivering your online shopping. Let's start with efficiency. Humans, bless our cotton socks, are not always the most efficient operators of machinery. We get tired, we get distracted, we sometimes have a bit of a heavy right foot, even when skippering a massive ship. An AI, on the other hand, can calculate and maintain the absolute optimal speed for fuel economy, hour after hour, day after day. It can fine-tune the engine performance and adjust the ship's trim for the smoothest passage. Over a long voyage across the Pacific, those small savings add up to a colossal reduction in fuel consumption, which is good for the bank balance and I suppose marginally better for the poor, overworked polar bears. Then there's the safety argument. Now this is where things get a bit more debatable. Can a collection of silicon chips and software truly be safer than a seasoned human captain with decades of experience? Section 7, Shaking Up the Seven Seas. How robo-ships will change global trade. If these autonomous ships really do become commonplace, and that's still a fairly chunky if, the ripple effects across global supply chains will be nothing short of enormous. We're talking about a fundamental reshaping of the way goods are moved around the planet. These ships are the arteries and veins of international trade, carrying everything from the coffee beans for your morning brew to the car you drive. And when you start tinkering with something that fundamental, big changes are bound to follow. It could be a proper sea change, in every sense of the word. Imagine a world where shipping is even faster and more reliable. Autonomous ships operating 24/7 without the need for crew rest could potentially reduce transit times. More efficient navigation and operations could lead to fewer delays. This could mean that the stuff you order from the other side of the world gets to you quicker. And in an ideal world, it might even mean it gets to you cheaper, as shipping costs fall. Though, let's be realistic. Companies aren't exactly famous for generously passing on every single saving to the consumer, are they? Section 8. Fewer oops. Moments at sea kicking human error to the curb. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. As a species, humans are brilliant at many things. Inventing the wheel, writing poetry, making a decent bacon sandwich. But we are also spectacularly good at making mistakes. We get tired, our minds wander, we sometimes make decisions that in hindsight were catastrophically daft. And when you're in charge of a quarter-mile-long steel box, weighing hundreds of thousands of tons, often filled with flammable or hazardous materials, in the middle of a raging storm, an oops moment can have rather serious consequences. This is a point that the champions of autonomous ships love to hammer home, repeatedly. They argue with some justification that by removing the human element from the direct operational loop, or at least from the bridge of the ship, you can significantly reduce the likelihood of these errors occurring. No more incidents because the officer on watch was a bit sleepy after a long shift. No more running aground because someone misread a chart or got distracted by a particularly interesting cloud formation. Section 9. What's next on the horizon? The unmanned, unstoppable future of shipping. So, what does the future hold for these self-sailing seacraft? Are we just a few years away from oceans teeming with these silent, crewless leviathans, diligently ferrying goods while we all sit at home, blissfully unaware? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not going to happen overnight. There are still some rather large waves to navigate. We're talking significant technical hurdles, a veritable spaghetti junction of international regulations that need to be untangled, and, not least, the small matter of public acceptance. People tend to get a bit nervous about the idea of ghost ships, and who can blame them? What we are seeing, though, is a steady current of progress. There are numerous trials and pilot projects underway around the globe. Small autonomous ferries are already zipping about in some calm waters. Remotely operated tugboats are assisting larger vessels in ports. Some ambitious companies are even testing partially or fully unmanned cargo ships on short-haul routes, and even some tentative transoceanic voyages. The technology is evolving at a remarkable pace, certainly faster than most government committees, which isn't saying much, but still. The direction of travel is clear.